What's going on, guys? It's your boy Sleazy here, and this one's for the weebs. Completely for the weebs, no one else. No, I'm actually kidding about that. Do go watch the movie because in today, when TV and movies are absolutely atrocious, the only thing left that's any decent is anime. But I'm gonna digress back to the topic at hand here. I did go see the Overlord movie. I am a huge Overlord fan because I'm a fucking weeb. Get over it. I don't care. Somewhere in the background, maybe I can move the camera here. Yeah. Right there. Right there. Yes, I do have Overlord figures. I don't care. Fuck you. It's what I like. But anywho, so yes, I did go see the Overlord movie in theaters. I absolutely enjoyed the movie. I will be giving a spoiler breakdown later on in this video. I'll post an alert before I do. I don't know, maybe there'll be some spinning lights and some noises and maybe a spoiler alert warning. Or maybe I'll just do it because it'll annoy people. Anywho, I did like the movie. I think it was an awesome addition to the series. I think it fit in very well. I think it introduced a couple of characters that we had wanted to see, but never really got any sort of interaction with in the show. I do think it set up the plot line awesome, and I think it hinted at some things that a lot of people didn't know in the series. But if you start to connect the dots, it brings up a plot point that I thought was really dark for this series. Though there are a lot of dark things in this series, it's not the darkest out there, that's for sure. But yeah, it definitely hinted at them a little bit harder. The movie itself started off a little bit weird. It almost felt like bad writing, but that was by design. 100% by design. It was supposed to feel like bad writing because the plot goes into more of, if you're familiar, Demiurge's plans, the grand strategist. And yeah, he kind of wrote a very bad plot and let our main character here, Momonga, kind of, well, work without a script. And it worked as well as you think with an OP character that's terrible at acting and really just kind of goes along with the flow. So yes, if you do start it and you think it's a bad plot and it's written terribly, it is quite literally by design, but it does get better later on in the movie. The movie did bring back CZ, which is kind of the character I was more curious about how they'd introduce, because in the series you do see CZ, kind of walk by and have like one-liners and kind of disappear into the background again. It brought her to the fore, and it was actually quite funny. There were a number of times that she would say something and the theater would laugh. And it was quite packed. I was expecting there to be maybe one or two people. I did go see the sub version, not the dub version, because, well, why not? And it was quite packed for a subtitled movie. So that was kind of interesting to see, especially since I live in like hillbilly areas. I wasn't expecting that many. So I don't think it's going to break numbers or anything fantastic. I'm not even going to bother covering the numbers. It's a niche anime movie. I just don't see a point, good or bad. But I think it really did push the plot along, and it has been several years since we've gotten a new season of Overlord. So I think this definitely pushed it forward. And my hope is that the new season will come out soon, because I would absolutely love to see that this story finish. Because there have been a lot of changes from the novels to the anime, and I know people are like going and reading the manga, which is based on the TV series and not the novel. So it's weird how this all played out with this show. Again, it started as a novel series, and then it got a manga, then it got an anime series. Yeah, we got to keep that in mind here. So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think it's actually done very well for itself. But let's actually get into the movie, because that's what we all want to talk about. So again, I absolutely like the movie. I thought it was terrible writing at first, but it was by design. So the plot starts out with essentially a kingdom getting overrun by Demon Lord Demiurge as Yaldabaoth, because alter egos in this thing are kind of normal. So pretty much he goes in, screws stuff up, kills a bunch of characters you think are going to be important in the first 15 minutes, find out they're nothing, and then you get left with a very upset woman paladin who watches her queen die. So this is like a holy kingdom. They're all paladins. They all, do their we're the greater ones. Yeah, no, not quite. They end up fleeing, going to Ainz and asking for help. He pretty much tells them no. Now, during this time, you get introduced to this little scout character that doesn't seem that important, and it's this chick's always getting put down and talked down to. Ainz sees this and kind of uses her to push the plot along and push what the ultimate end goal is. Which, if you haven't watched the anime, it's the Floor Guardians pushing Ainz to conquer the world and make it his. Because he honestly doesn't care. But it goes through that. They say he can't help them. Then he actually does, kind of, pulls a little hope from him. Then comes back and like, well, I can't have a hero save you, but I'll do it myself. Essentially putting him in a position to be the hero. So, of course, they travel. They start conquering kingdom or reconquering the kingdom. He essentially becomes a hero to the kingdom by killing the demons and all the demi-humans, all the monsters, taking back cities, does it kind of with ease. And the entire thing while he's doing this is like, I can't really help you guys because if I use magic, I won't have enough to fight the Demon King, which is Demiurge, but not really Demiurge because it's one of Demiurge's summons. Yes, it gets that crazy and contrived. Again, if you haven't watched the anime, Demiurge's plots are all contrived BS garbage that somehow works because Lord Ainz is absolutely OP, but he doesn't quite think he is. But this is where I want to talk about something that I think a lot of people missed, especially if you didn't read the novels. This takes place in Abelion. Now, this is going to be, I think, season 2, maybe season 1. I'm trying to remember when the Lizardmen arc was. I think it was in season 2. Demiurge is trying to make magic scrolls that they can use. He's using a specific type of leather, which he calls Abelion sheep. He calls them Abelion sheep. This takes place in Abelion, that we learned is controlled by humans. And in case that hasn't clicked yet, the sheep are people. Demiurge has been kidnapping people and using their skins to make leather to make magic scrolls. That's a little bit dark. Again, that wasn't it was kind of mentioned in the background of the anime. It's more kind of prevalent in the novels themselves. But I thought it was actually kind of funny that they linked that together in the movie. And I don't think anybody in the movie theater caught that or knew because I'm the only one who was like, ugh, that's rough. That's rough. So anyway, it goes to the city. He ends up stepping up after they claim the city. Demiurge reattacks the city. He gets into a fight with a monster, becomes the hero, but he uses magic, so he kind of fakes his own death because there's no way. But they explain it in the show. Everybody uses clones of themselves, copycat spells, so that Ainz doesn't actually kill them. They introduce the maids in a way where they're controlled by Demiurge, and he's trying to get them so he can. I don't know. This is the contrivances that I have problems with because it sounds like bad writing, but this would 100% be like Demiurge's plan because he's just that over the top with it. The maids could have literally just walked out with Lord Ainz at any time and nobody would have batted an eyelash. They're like, oh, of course he has fucking battle maids. But again, weird plot points made by characters who are doing weird things because they're weird characters. None of these people are human. Let's not forget, not too long ago, they were NPCs in a video game. So anyway, side chick that was always getting screamed at, yelled at, called stupid, everybody hated, wants to go look for Ainz. She cannot believe that Lord Ainz is dead. Everybody tells her, no, shut up, it's never happening. They reiterate the fact that the princess is dead. They make sure that you know the princess is dead and introduce a new character, the prince. Now, they also get into some political aspects between the northern half of the empire and the southern half of the empire and trying to unite them and who's going to help do what, blah, 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 blah. Uh, they set up the point where the prince is now in charge, and they're going to go free another castle, another fortress. And this is where they introduce CZ, the character that was always in the background that I was curious how they're gonna use this. So CZ is another NPC maid who is the only one that uses modern weaponry and acts more like a Arnold Schwarzenegger recon. She runs around with a rifle and is the only one who does so with tactical clothing in a world set in almost medieval fantasy with magic. It's it's hilarious. I look. I kind of dig someone showing up in medieval times with an automatic rifle and just being like, "Ha, get wrecked." That kind of tickles me a little inside. Anywho, male fantasy. Going back to the movie here. So she is monotone through the entire thing and says absolutely kind of the most autistic things when people are having meaningful conversations. And it's hilarious. Anytime she said more than a sentence, everybody in the theater broke out laughing, and it was funny. Her dialogue was funny. It wasn't over the top. It was kind of just like, what did you think was going to happen? Of course I killed him. Like, it was really good. I was quite impressed. I really like the way that they brought the maid we hadn't seen to the fore and introduced her in a way that felt meaningful to the show that wasn't over the top. So anyway, side chick, the maid CZ, go on this secret mission to rescue the king because the demons or the demi-humans, the demons, the monsters are all like, we're here against our will, you have to save us. So they go to save a monster king. They get that all done. The writing sounds terrible because it is a terrible plot point because it's meant to be bad writing. Okay. So they end up saving the monster king. They're doing what they're supposed to do. The rest of the paladin forces show up to take over the rest of the fortress. Kind of just goes perfectly according to plan. It's almost like everything was planned out in advance. Of course, Demiurge has to show up and with his demon summon, who is pretending to be him, has to fight Ainz again because Ainz has to show up and be the hero again. This kind of reiterates the point and pushes along that everybody in this country is going to worship the Sorcerer Emperor as an absolute hero for them. When their country and leadership failed them, he came to save them. They are now forever indebted to him. He does kill the demon, does the whole like, yes, I'm your hero, citizens, blah, 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 blah. But what this actually does is that character that was just kind of simpy and looked up to him as a hero who was always talked down to by our own country essentially becomes a propagandist for Ainz and for the Sorcerer Kingdom. And they show it at the end. The person goes around making all these speeches about how Lord Ainz saved him, how the Sorcerer Kingdom's actually really good. And if you haven't watched the series, this is in stark contrast to his character and everything that he's done before. Where with one spell, he killed 70,000 people. Just poof, gone. And that was only the start of the spell. That's not even how it finished. He attacked another kingdom after he set up a plan to attack his own kingdom so he could conquer the kingdom. Again, Demiurge's plans literally just wipes out entire nation because, well, fuck it. I don't have anything else to do. But now he's the hero. Now we have this counter narrative where he is going to save and unite the world so everybody can live peacefully. Now, this is the part where I say there's a huge plot twist because this absolutely threw me off. So the prince that has now taken control of the country that happened in the middle of the movie is standing there overlooking his city. And Demiurge pops up in the background. Well, of course, Demiurge is involved. He's the one making this plot. He talks about how he pretty much let Ainz just run free with the narrative here and make up his own thing, and how it worked out more perfectly than he could have ever imagined. He thought his plan was going to take 3 years. It'll be done in less than a year now. But that's not the plot twist, that the prince was working with Demiurge. This is a huge spoiler and changes everything about how the movie played out for me. As Demiurge leaves, the prince's face starts twitching and starts just going almost like a blank mask, which leads you to believe the prince was dead and was replaced with Pandora's actor. And everything that was happening was Pandora's actor ad-libbing the plot based on what Lord Ainz was doing, based on him on what Demiurge was doing. There are like 3 separate plots going on here. And it's like a 3-second scene that just kind of throws the entire plot for an even bigger loop. And it was fantastic. It was layers of plots that you didn't realize until the story progressed and people started doing more and more things and more characters started revealing themselves. It was quite interesting to see that level of writing because we haven't seen anything like that in mainstream Hollywood, in Western media, in such a long time. So I did absolutely love this movie. I thought it was fantastic. Easily an 8, maybe an 8.5. I don't think the musical scores were anything spectacular for a movie. I would have liked to have seen better music. Everything kind of hinged and relayed back to the series music, the scores that were played in the anime series. I think that would have added more depth and brought out a lot more of the movie. So is it theater worthy? I don't think so. But like I said, I still gave it an 8, 8.5. But I did absolutely love this movie. I would absolutely recommend go see it if you can. And definitely watch it whenever it comes out on whatever hell streaming service is going to come out on, because that's how that always works now. It's definitely worth a watch. I think you can watch this without having watched the series and be okay with it. But I think you will fail to understand the level of depth and writing that went into this movie without understanding the characters themselves. I think it can stand on its own. I think it's better in knowing the story. But if anybody's seen it, I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. If you haven't seen it or you weren't going to go see it and my review changed your opinion, let me know in the comments section. But everybody, while you're there, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this one out. And until the next one, guys, be easy like sleazy.